Hi, I'm Caroline Calder, and welcome to Scots Talk. Today I am joined by the Director of Enrollment Management, Mrs. Alex Tolicious, who will be answering some of our questions today. Hi, Mrs. Tolicious. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Caroline. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you do during a typical day?
Oh boy, I certainly can. So a typical day could be anything from meeting with lower school families as they bring their children into testing, meeting with middle and upper school families, providing families with tours of St. Andrews. I work with our marketing team. We're looking at our data. We're dealing with students that have particular scheduling questions and all different kinds of things. So the thing about admissions and enrollment is that we do everything from intake students through recruiting and marketing. We work with students when they're here, and then we also work with students and families in terms of marketing and the outcomes. So where are they going? What are they doing? So we kind of do a little bit of everything.
Can you tell us what kind of families are interested in SA?
Yes. So a lot of families are interested in St. Andrews, which is really great. We have families that are obviously in pre-K that want to start looking when their students are young. We have families that are coming from middle school environments and want to look in high school. And then we also have boarding families that want to look to St. Andrews for the boarding program. So I think that it really isn't a typical family, but families are attracted to St. Andrews for a couple of things. One is our mission and our vision. And I think a lot of that has to do with our Episcopal identity. So the sense of community. In all of the data that we have when we survey new families, when we survey returning families, one of the top factors in terms of why families choose St. Andrews is the community. So what is that community? Well, it has to do with our Episcopalian tradition. It also has to do with the fact that we are a boarding school. Right. So I think a lot of students in the upper school, a lot of families are attracted to St. Andrews because our boarding program brings a sense of strong community. We have a very strong student-to-teacher ratio. We have teachers that really care and are interested in our students. So there's a lot of things that attract students and families to St. Andrews.
And then is there a big demand to apply to SA, and is the application process competitive?
Good questions. Yes, St. Andrews is in demand for a couple of reasons. One is that there are a lot of families that are moving down to the area, so it makes it just the numbers game, right? When you have more people applying and we're not growing as a school, there are fewer spaces available, so we are more competitive. I think recently, in the past 5 years or so, our school has become really well known as a top academic school, again, also for the community and for things like athletics and the arts. So we definitely are in demand. And is it competitive? It is competitive for the reason I just mentioned. We have more applications for the spaces available. But it doesn't mean it's impossible. What I hear sometimes from parents and from the community is that, there's this long wait list. I'm never going to get in. There's a 3-year wait list. And that just simply is not true, right? So we graduate a class every year and of 160-ish students, and then we have to enroll students in all different grades. So there's always space. It just depends on the timing. So what I would say to anybody that's interested in applying is to get your applications in early because it will be competitive, but there is space.
And then our boarding program has students from all over. How do these families find SA, and where are they from?
Good question. Okay, so our boarding families come from all around the world. We're very intentional about how we market and how we find our boarding families and how our boarding families find us. So we travel all over. So recently we did some studies about where our alumni are from, where our current boarding families are from, and where are some new markets where we want to go. Where do we want our families to come from? For example, we currently don't have any families from Japan. So that would be really cool to get a student from Japan. Mm-hmm. So we look at all of that data and then we go out and travel. So as we speak right now, Mrs. Sheehan, our director of boarding enrollment, is in the Cayman Islands. So she's meeting with families there. So I'm heading to the Bahamas over the weekend. We've been to Germany. We've been all around the U.S., Texas, California, Chicago, the Carolinas. So we definitely travel and recruit families wherever they are. We go to them and meet them and we share St. Andrews. We also travel with a group of other boarding schools. So that makes it really fun.
And then I actually have a younger brother who is in 7th grade who is looking to apply to St. Andrews in 8th grade. Why should he apply to St. Andrews versus other schools?
That's a really good question. I think a couple reasons. As a local Florida resident, a local school in Florida, there are several things that we offer that I think no other school does. Mm-hmm. One, as I said before, is the community. The other thing is the day boarding environment. So again, Mr. Shapiro shared a study with us recently about students that graduate from a boarding school, whether they're a day student or a boarding student, benefit in many ways. And part of that has to do with a strong community. So that's a really big thing. I think the other thing is that sense of balance. Our students have a really strong sense of balance. The ability to do sports, to do performing arts, and to participate and try new things, such as broadcasting, makes St. Andrews really special. And then the other thing is just the family support, right? There's really no other schools in the area that involve families as much. So it's not just a place where you go to school, it's a place where you really feel like you belong.
Right. And then do you have any advice for students applying? And do you have any application tips?
Those are good questions, yes. So I would say if for students that are interested in applying, they should start the application process soon. And I would say not to over stress about it. Mm-hmm. So we hear from students and from families that they feel they have to go to every single thing. So whether it's an open house, whether it's an interview day, whether it's a visit, if you're applying to more than one school, that can be lots and lots of weekends where you're doing things. So I would say you don't have to go to everything. But when you think about interviewing, you should also know a little bit about the school. Do a little research, read the website, and have some questions prepared. I think that's, and also go into every school with an open mind. So when you're on campus, when you're going through the process, really have an open mind and absorb and enjoy it. It's a good practice for college too.
Yeah. And then lastly, how important are Scott for a Day and open houses?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking that, because that relates to the last question, I think.
Right.
So Scott for a Days are very important because students are the most important part. We also know from recent data that students have much more influence in their choice of schools than they did years ago. So parents are really involving students in their choice for school. So coming to St. Andrews and experiencing a day at St. Andrews, I think, is really important. So the other thing is with the open house as well, it's an opportunity to see and feel our community and see our academic and our athletic and arts offerings in person. But the most important part is that our current students are a part of it. So that's where, as a student, you wouldn't want to choose a school if you didn't have an opportunity to see other students in action. So I think having our current students be a part of the admissions and process through the Scott for Days and the open houses it's just fantastic.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Delicious, for answering our questions today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning into Scots Talk. And remember, go Scots.
Go Scots.